3 tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Danny Cannell. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 tailgate. Lots to get to here on a Thursday. It's the best daggum time of the week. 11 a.m. Eastern time on Thursdays is when we roll out our locks for the week. Lots to get to here in week 12. A lot of stakes. We're trying to see who's still invested. Hot seat fallout. We got, the first game that we're going to see some of these teams after a coaching change. How does that factor in? We'll get into all that and more. But first, as always, a look back at the week that was. Bud, 3-4 week for you. The wins included Georgia first half -6.5, Michigan -4 against Penn State, and the UCF team total over 31.5. The losses were Tennessee -1.5 against Missouri, the Southern Miss Louisiana under 53, Louisville -20 against Virginia. That was the Thursday night game, and the Temple team total over 30. You diagnosed it correctly as being absolutely gas mask sick. Have you taken your antibiotics and have you recovered from your interaction with that virus?
Yeah, I saw the pregame tweets and I was like, "Oh, I'm dead." Temple had a couple offensive linemen out that didn't even dress, and sometimes you just know. Like, there's one ref. I'm not going to say who it is, but like when I know the ref in a game, I almost always just superstition. I want to get off because I know there's going to be some absolute. Can't say the word I want to say here on the air, but just nonsense going on. So Temple, I thought it was probably dead as soon as I saw the offensive lineman not warming up. Louisville was terrible pick, obviously, by me. ULL and Southern Miss had a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. So,
and overtime, right?
If you bet unders and you get those, you're probably not going to win. And I didn't. So disappointing week there.
Man, nothing makes me happier than like Bud Elliott, one of the most like advanced analytical minds in college football, superstitious as hell, like all the way down to if this ref is there, I don't want any part of the action. So 3-4 for the week though, still leading the pack with a 60-50 record on the season. 4-4 week for me, just pushing it all around, baby. I was right there with Bud on the Georgia first half -6.5. Penn State team total under 19.5 comes through. USC +15.5 against Oregon, and Colorado +10.5, both cash in the Pac-12. Took a loss on that Washington -8.5 against Utah. Also, Bama covered the total on its own. So the under certainly did not cash in Alabama, Kentucky. Also, NC State team total under 22.5 did not cash. They got out to a three touchdown lead, and that was the end of that. Florida State team total over 31.5 does not cash. 4-4 for the week, 46-48 for the season. Danny, 3-6 week. The wins were Michigan, Penn State under 45, Georgia team total over 34.5, and the Oregon USC under 73.5. The losses: Tennessee against Missouri, Oklahoma State against UCF, Kansas -3.5, Rutgers, Iowa over 28, Arizona, Colorado under 55, and Texas -10. 3-6. What are we looking? What are we looking at to keep moving forward?
Just sell short my picks is what you're saying. I mean, there are some comments here in the chat room. They're having a field day with it. I do think since day trading Danny has started, it has not been kind. I think the first week after I was 2-7, have not had a winning record in 5 weeks. I was on fire too. I had my sights set on Bud. But you know what? Get a little cocky. That's what happens. You got to stay humble out in those streets. And not to mention already a big loser for day trading Danny, as James Madison just denied. They did not get approval for the experimental drug. That stock has fallen. No New Year's 6 for them, but 2 horrible picks, Tennessee, Oklahoma State. Tennessee one, I mean, both of those. I mean, those could not have gone more sideways. Kansas, you had Bean go down. That game was sort of fluky. Rutgers, by the way, Iowa. I did live bet when it was 16 at halftime. Hit the over by Iowa alone. Maybe it's a sign of things to come when they exploded for 22 points. Rutgers did not pull up their end of the bargain. And then Texas, I thought I had a winner, and they had, flurry of late points, TCU, but no excuses.
3-6 for the week, 50-51 for the season. Tom, continuing some of his recent winning ways, a 6-4 week for Mr. Fernelli. The wins were Michigan -4, Georgia -10.5, UTSA -14.5, Auburn +2.5, the Northwestern Wisconsin under 42, the Maryland Nebraska under 44. The losses were North Texas +17. That was against SMU, I believe, on Friday night. Oklahoma State -2.5 against UCF, Minnesota Purdue under, and the Virginia Tech Boston College under 49.5. 6-4 for the week brings you to 63-56 for the season. Back up into the profitable range. You said you're seeing the board. You still feel good coming out of the week?
Yeah, I do feel good, but I can't take all the credit. I mentioned last week that in week 1, Labor Day weekend, I went 1-11. It was the week I had to sacrifice my dog. And Jordan, if you could put the graphic up, you will see that it was a brilliant decision on my part, because since I sacrificed Frankie, I am 59-42 on the season for plus 12.8 units. She's a very good girl. She is doing her job. Thank you, Frankie Beans.
Watching over you from doggy heaven.
Tom's about to get sniped on the show if she's home today.
I don't know if it's like beautiful or not right. I'm kind of waffling between it, but happy for Tom's success. I'm glad he's rocking and rolling right now. All right. Flush week 11, all eyes ahead on week 12. And so I ask you, gentlemen, y'all ready to lock it up?
Let's do it.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
We're picking locks.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
Get these locks.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of ULM, Kentucky.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it up. You want these locks?
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
From the locking chair to your eyes and ears, we get things started with those early bird picks. Just a absolute football game on Thursday night between Boston College and Pitt, and the 2-8 Pitt Panthers are 3-point favorites in the big mustard bottle. So anybody got a lock for Boston College and Pitt?
I'm not locking it up, but I took Boston College +3. I mean, Pitt's won one of its last 7 games. It's pretty much just playing out the string at this point. I don't have the most confidence in Boston College, which is why I'm not locking it up. It's one of those situations where I'm supposed to take the Panthers as favorites. No thanks.
Did you guys watch Cuse Pitt?
The second, I think I got out of it like mid-second quarter. I was in for a little bit, but I didn't get all the second half. Why?
I mean, they basically, Del Rio was out, and Schrader apparently can't throw.
It's a totally one-dimensional offense.
Mm-hmm. They installed a whole new offense. I read a story. I think it was Emily Leaker or Loker. I'm not sure how you say her name. I read it this morning on Cuse.com, I think it is. Dude, it was brilliant. Like, they put in just a crazy little, there was some spinner series stuff, and it was fun. I don't know. I don't really have a great feel on this game. If I had to bet something, I'd probably bet under, but
What power rating or what information has Pitt as a favorite? Is that just a talent level of the rosters? What? I don't see where that comes from.
BC did just get its doors blown off by a Hokies team that's really not any good. So,
yeah, but they did it with the quarterback run. Drones was out there about putting up Michael Vick numbers.
Yeah, that is true.
Pitt ain't got that. I don't know. We'll see. Nothing here. Danny, no.
I don't want to have to watch it.
Danny's going to be watching Bengals Ravens.
Exactly.
Was that on tonight?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Friday night, we got UTSA hosting USF and some action as UTSA tries to continue its unbeaten record in conference play. And then the Colorado Buffs on the road against Washington State. Anybody got a lock for Friday night?
I'll take it.
Buffs?
No, God, no. Give me Washington State. Give me Cam Ward. The battle for the basement of the Pac-12 is taking place. I mean, Dion, it's kind of flown on the radar too. The clock mismanagement, the issues that are taking place. Cam Ward, I think, is going to have a field goal against this defense running around. So I'll take the home team.
Sure.
Fight.
Oh,
Fight.
Let's go Buffs.
wow.
Are there 4.5s left, or is it just still rock?
Yeah, there's a, I can get you a 5. So
Yeah.
Oh.
I can get 4, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was watching, obviously, being on the Buffs last week. I was in that little Pac-12 network midday window a lot, and I think that this Colorado team still has a little bit of fight left, and like maybe the student section, the environment at Folsom Field was good. I mean, it was better than what Colorado football has experienced. You know, if you are Rick George, the athletic director, you've invested in that. You're not going to have that in Pullman. But I think I saw just enough fight left that that we could see Colorado get frisky in this battle of 1-6 teams. I mean, it's maybe even a no one deserves to be favored situation, considering the way that these two teams have performed in Pac-12 play. But yeah, let's go. Let's keep it riding. 1 week after cashing with the Buffs, I'll take Colorado again. All right. Anything else for Friday? No one's going to jump in on UTSA, USF?
No. If it was under 14, I'd consider it, but no.
Number seems pretty good. USF has been pretty live for backdoor situations. So, I mean,
Byron Brown with like 1 billion yards and touchdowns and a defense that continues to just give it up, just possession after possession after possession.
Given that the total here is 67, so probably a pretty good live betting game. You'll have a lot of opportunities to choose when you want to enter the market here.
When would you do it?
Kind of depends on like where you think your edge is, right? In these high scoring games, you know, like obviously the computer and the algo is going to say like when the team has the ball, they're going to be juiced up a little bit, but you know, you may find that a team is like poor in the red zone. You might think you have like kind of like a micro edge there. So you're, you know, betting every down, small bets against them in the red zone. If you want to, I just think there's a lot of different opportunities with certain scores and like how the game's going to play out. Whereas these really low scoring games, they don't change that much because the scoreboard's not changing all that much.
Got it. All right. Coming up on the other side, we'll turn the page to Saturday, starting with some of those big games rolling through the day, starting at noon with Louisville-Miami. Then you got Utah-Arizona, Georgia-Tennessee, and of course that Washington-Oregon State game. We'll get into some of the big ones next.
It's never too soon for college basketball. Don't miss the Baha Mar Hoops Bahamas Championship on CBS Sports Network.
Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, the SEC on CBS brings you an outstanding matchup with major college football playoff implications. Number 1 Georgia faces one of their toughest tests of the season when the Bulldogs head to Knoxville to take on the number 18 ranked Volunteers. Saturday, the SEC is on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. All right, let's take a look at some of the big games for Saturday. We'll start in the noon slate, take you through chronologically with Louisville at Miami. We discussed this game on Wednesday, and the line has flipped, right? Miami -1.
It's all over the place. Yeah. You can get Miami +1. You can get Miami -1. It's everywhere. And I'm taking Louisville +1.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Go for it.
The Cards have been a little worrisome on the road, but I'm not that worried about it in this situation. As Bud and Danny went over yesterday, Miami doesn't even have fans. They don't exist. The school barely exists. There's no point in it existing. It might as well just close up and go somewhere else and let people get on with their lives. But more than anything, I just, Miami's season, they threw everything at Florida State last week. They came up short. They benched Tyler Van Dyke for Emory Williams. Emory Williams gets hurt, and now they have to go back to Tyler Van Dyke, and he's got to play quarterback, pretty obviously knowing that his team and coaching staff doesn't really believe in him right now. And Louisville is a win away from locking up its berth in the ACC championship. So everything just seems to be pointing the Cardinals' way here.
I'm going to fight you guys.
Ooh.
What?
Fight.
Yeah.
Fight. Fight. Fight.
It's D. Kane. Not DK.
You spent 5 minutes of the Cover 3 podcast eviscerating the Miami football program.
Yep.
And now you're oh my gosh.
Just when you left him for dead. Tom, you mentioned on the road. I wonder, environment is not going to be great. They don't ever have a good environment at Miami. Unless it's Florida State or Notre Dame comes to town. They're kind of used to it. Miami's defense did hold Florida State's offense to just 27 points. Like, I think you're going to see a steady dose of Jawar Jordan. Do we trust Jack Plummer on the road, who hasn't been on the road many times? Maybe one of the better defenses that he's faced. I'll go ahead and fight you guys on this one. I'll take the Canes, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win because it's the ACC. This is the most ACC thing ever, that you're thinking you're going to have 2 top 10 teams playing in a conference championship game with a national stage. There would be nothing more ACC than Louisville to lose out, be 9-3 outside of the top 25 because the committee doesn't care or watch the ACC. And then it's a trash win for Florida State.
I'm going to join Chip and Tom.
Oh,
Put the cards on my card.
Wait, hold on. So that means, and just to be fair, we are going to he's going to be in on that fight, but that means it is not just a fight. That means it's a Latif fight.
We got a traitor.
Tyler Van Dyke, by the way, is the better quarterback between him and Emory Williams.
Maybe overall, but Tyler Van Dyke right now, who's going through his Chuck Knobloch kind of yips, I don't know.
Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, look, we saw how bad Emory Williams was, and Miami chose to start him. He completed 8 passes. One of them, the safety, literally closed his eyes and fell down. And how bad does Miami have to think Tyler Van Dyke is internally inside that program? Or how little faith do the other players have to have in him for them to bench him and start an 18-year-old who was playing low-level ball last year just down the road from Doak Campbell? I think that there is some signal in Miami's decision to bench Tyler Van Dyke. He also had a great quote yesterday. He's like, "I'm not going to let football ruin my happiness." So, that's a good quote. That's the guy I want to bet on, right? Yeah, exactly, right? Power of positive attitude. Why is it a big game? Because I'm in it, right? So,
That's always what you want to hear from your quarterback out of a game. I'm not going to let football ruin my happiness.
I will add, just from the vibes GPT, one of these teams had extra rest. The other one just poured it out. Who do you have more confidence in to be able to come in and deliver a good performance? I do not think it will necessarily be easy, but I think Louisville wins the football game. Let's snap it up.
Also, coaching. In a pick'em game, who do you want?
The guy who's going to try to get points, or the guy who's going to just get out of there and play it safe?
The guy who won games at Purdue, or the guy who messed around a whole lot with Justin Herbert as his quarterback. I'm going to ride with Jeff Brom.
And look, let's go ahead and spin it forward. If you're riding the Brom coaster, this is when it comes up, and then next week against Kentucky is the disappointment leading into the ACC championship game. All right.
Agreed.
2:30 p.m. Eastern time in that little midday Pac-12 network window. We've got Utah at Arizona. This is another one with a real skinny line. Anyone got a lock for the Utes and the Wildcats? Danny? Okay.
Under.
Ooh.
2 really good defenses. I mean, the quarterback play at UCLA has been suspect at best. Even the play calling has been suspect at best. We know about Arizona's defense, how tough they are bringing back the Desert Swarm vibes. I don't think UCLA's defense is pretty good too. They were a team that kept this team in a lot of games early. So I think it's going to be more of a defensive affair. I think both offenses could struggle to move the football.
I'm going to go Arizona. A lot of Pac-12 teams coming down to the desert have had some trouble. I don't know that it's going to be a uniquely rocking atmosphere with this super early kick in Tucson. You know, I think I would be leaning on the home field advantage, but I'll tell you what, the setting is significant for me because it's not Salt Lake City. And there's just all of the completion percentages, your scoring. I mean, just across the board, we've got Utah having a little bit of a dip, and again, vibes in the rhythms of the season. Second straight road game, and the last one was you going up into Seattle, playing Washington, and losing by 7. Now you're going to turn around and play this Wildcats team that has been playing really solid football. So skinny line. I think Arizona wins the game. I feel comfortable grabbing them up here.
I know it's Utah. I know I said UCLA. I have a play in UCLA later as well. Just look down at the notes.
Gronk showed up at the Arizona game last time they were at home, and he was like just being typical Gronk. I feel like if he showed up at this game, he'd look like Lane Kiffin in the Sun Bowl that year with just like sunglasses on and the hoodie up.
John in the Cover 3 tailgate asks, is Arizona and I'm not even going to say the word, but
nope.
I say no, right?
No, the committee, they were 10-point favorites on the road last week. Had they covered then, they might be, but nope.
Yeah, their against the spread record is tremendous, but as we detailed in last week's Locks episode, it has been as an underdog. You know, you do it
every way.
Yeah, to be a true W word, you need to be able to also cover those spreads of 7, 8.5, 10 points, I think, to really show that you've got what it takes to be trusted week in, week out. All right, let's anybody else got a Utah Arizona lock?
I think under's probably the right side. I don't show a huge edge on it, but I mean, like most of Utah's recent offense, I think has to do with the opponent defense.
Oh, like you scored 28 points against Washington. Like, well, Washington.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, cool. Can rock with that. Then the SEC on CBS Game of the Week features the Georgia Bulldogs at Tennessee. Of course, we are dealing with a sizable spread, as we often are with the Bulldogs. Looking at 10, over under around 58.5 or so. Who's got a lock?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, bud. You can go first.
Georgia. I mean, I thought the Vols were going to win last weekend in Missouri. You know, they're coming off that UConn game. They were doing the load management thing. They got some guys back. Missouri's coming off the Georgia game. And Tennessee was really not competitive. And that I think that's a concerning effort out of the Vols there, honestly. So I'm a little concerned about that. I think Georgia can take advantage of their linebackers. And I think Georgia's just a more physical football team than Tennessee is. I also think they have a much better quarterback. So 10 points on the road ain't ever easy, but it's not like there's a look ahead to Georgia Tech. So give me Georgia.
I'm in there too. Tom, are you?
I don't know about that -10, boys. I'm taking Georgia team total over 34.5. It's kind of the same lines as last week against Ole Miss, where I look at this Tennessee team and I really don't know how many stops they are going to get. And I would just rather be on that than having to worry about the double-digit spread on the road. So that's where I'm going.
I like that too. I'm going to stick with Georgia -10. That's kind of where I prepped myself for. And I would not be surprised if this is one of those games where at halftime, as we've seen often, you know, if at halftime this game's a little bit closer. And DK, are you in studio for HQ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second half, just go ahead and lay it.
Line.
Yeah. Just you'll get a much better number at the live line than 10. Come back and lay it, because Georgia's performance in these third quarters has been absolutely bananas. I mean, they come out of the locker room, they come out focused, and they win the game. And that's where Joe Milton's got nothing when it comes to going head to head with Carson Beck. I'm starting to work myself into the opinion that Kirby Smart, head coach of back-to-back the reigning national champions, he, with this group, might have mastered the 15-game schedule. It was one thing I was really working on as a theory when Alabama and Clemson kept playing in the national championship year after year. It's a different rhythm. You rest guys more in week 7, 8, and 9 because in the back of your mind, you're like, we need this team to be 100% for late November, early December, late December, and January. And some of the decisions along the way, I think, have allowed Georgia to be able to be playing its best football. I don't think there's any kind of letdown, no look ahead, as Bud mentioned. I feel comfortable laying it with the dogs.
I kind of want to take a Tennessee angle, like maybe first half, but I don't even trust them. I mean, atmosphere, does the crowd get to Carson Beck? Are they able to get some sort of turnover early, ride that momentum? But like you said, if that does happen, I'll just wait until the game and take a second half live bet.
Tennessee might be able to run the ball on Georgia, right? Like if you're looking for some way that it happens, but the problem is I just don't think there's going to be enough explosive plays. But I think you mentioned during Big Game Breakdown, Tennessee methodically marching the ball down the field against Georgia and also cashing in on scoring opportunities with touchdowns. Those are two things that seem highly unlikely, and the absence of obvious explosive plays makes it difficult to foresee that.
Yeah.
All right. Then we start to move into the early evening slate. Sunflower Showdown, Kansas State at Kansas. The Wildcat, Big 12 title race is so confusing. I think there's like an 8-way tie possibility. Like if there's total chaos, we could see something, truly bananas. So I can't even run the Chipolytics on what the implications are here. But what I can tell you is the point spread is Kansas State -7.5 on the road in Lawrence, over under of 56.5. Anybody got a lock for Kansas State, Kansas?
I do.
Let's go.
Same as the last game, honestly, because I don't know what Kansas's quarterback situation is just yet. I don't really want to bet the spread based on that. But I do know what Kansas's defense has looked like in recent weeks and maybe about a month or two. Give me Kansas State team total over 33.5, because I do think that they will be able to move the ball no matter who's at quarterback playing for the Jayhawks. And it's going to be if Kansas is able to win this game and hang around, it's going to be a high-scoring shootout. If Kansas can't hang in this game, Kansas State's going to blow them out. So I feel like I'm good either way.
You don't think Kansas goes really low tempo here?
They could.
I think that's the worry, is like Kansas moves it some, maybe not score a lot, but they move it some, and Kansas is really slow tempo. So if they're, I don't know, in my head, I'm like, okay, how does this lose? It's Kansas has all these 40-yard drives for 5.5 minutes. And you're like, good God, like, can we please play some football, not just play clock? And, Kansas State ends up winning, 27-17, and you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a bad pick.
I'll trust you as the timekeeper here. Does Kansas have the propensity to go slow?
Kansas is slow. Yeah.
Okay.
But Kansas is very efficient, but Kansas is slow.
Yeah.
They move quicker when Jalen Daniels is healthy.
But there has been not that many occasions this year where Kansas State has put up 33 or less, quickly scanning just 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll land with Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Kleiman, 8-2 against the spread this year, 6-2 as a favorite. It's a little bit dicey, rivalry game on the road. But man, watching Jason Bean last week, tough as nails, tried to come back in. His head and his leg got hit. He was limping around. I just don't know if he survives this game. He was really banged up. Kansas defense, Tom mentioned it, a couple of them, 124th in the country EPA per rush yards allowed. Like, they're just not very good defensively. I think Kansas State will pretty much have their way. Will Howard, by the way, too, he's kind of held off Avery Johnson. They kind of were doing that 2-quarterback system. Still have him as a threat, but they haven't used him anywhere near as much. He's kind of fixed some of his issues. So I'll take Kansas State.
7:30 p.m. Eastern time is when you can find number 5 Washington at number 11 Oregon State. Oregon State -2.5, over under of 63.5. Who's got a lock in one of the big games of the day?
Go.
Under. 63.5. Pretty good number.
64, I get you.
Ooh, chip line value. God, it feels good to have that chip line value. Give me the bad numbers. How hard I believe in my grind. All right, so as often the case, I'm going to go through sort of the game script and try to think about the ways that Oregon State, which is the favorite here, the ways that they win this game. And it has to be limiting the number of times that Michael Penix touches the football with an opportunity to try and throw it against your secondary, because that is an advantage for Washington. And even, on the road, hostile environment and all those things, if you can play a role in being able to limit the number of times Penix touches it, then you're going to do that. And that falls right in with Damian Martinez, who's already got 1,000 rushing yards on the season, the only player in the Pac-12 that has that, a big offensive line, and a Washington defense that I do think that you can push around just a little bit. So if Oregon State is going to be running the football, and if Washington is not going to be able to get off the field, then I do see a situation where this ends up coming in just a shade under where this total is. I don't think it's going to be easy, but probably going to be a little bit of a sweat. But I like overall, 9 touchdowns, 63. We're just over that. I like coming in under from a game script angle, looking at what Oregon State needs to do to be able to win this football game.
The bad news is I was wrong. There's no 64s left. There's only 63.5s. The good news is I'm with you. Lock agreement.
Yeah.
Let me change the doc. I accidentally put it in buds. So, but yeah, I feel the same way. Honestly, I think that neither one of these defenses is great, but I just think that the approach of both teams in this spot, knowing that they can run the ball quite effectively on the other, we are going to see that happen, and it's going to keep the clock churning. And I think Washington definitely can ruin it if they just decide to start dropping back and chucking the ball over the place, because like we talked about in the big game breakdown, Oregon State against Washington State did get exposed a little bit in the secondary against a high-powered passing attack, which I think we can all agree on Washington has. So maybe the Huskies do that, but on the road, I think they're going to want to, preserve their defense a little bit too. We've been seeing that in the last few weeks. So I think game script-wise, like you said, Chip, this is going to be a little bit lower scoring.
Give me Latifah.
Oh.
Same exact reason. I mean, as much as we talk about the quarterbacks, I do think you're going to see the running back battle probably take precedence in this one. Washington, they can hit the big plays. I think that's going to be key. Like, can they protect Penix? If they do, I'm much more worried about this. Then, if you get in a shootout with DJU, is that a recipe for success? But I think it's going to be lower scoring, and I would lean. I kind of want to take Oregon State and just lay them. But I'm going to stay away after that one and just take the under.
But he no play?
I'm going to fight you guys.
Oh,
what?
Fight.
2 Latif fights? I know we're coming down to the end of the season.
I can get you a 62.5.
Whoa.
I see on Spank odds I can get a couple 62s.
All right, cool.
All right, let's middle this thing at 63.
There we go.
Look, Washington has allowed points to some really bad offenses this year, right? Stanford scored on them. I don't think Utah's offense is any good at all. They scored 28, it was almost all in the first half, right? Or was it all in the first half? USC had 42. Now that's USC. Oregon State is not USC, but they are kind of a wagon at home when it comes to scoring points. Now it'll be rainy. I don't think it's going to be crazy windy though. So rainy, maybe some guys slip. Maybe we get some explosive plays here. I think that one team's going to score 30 and the other team will score a little more. So let's go 63, 33-30 ball game.
No, 35-28. That takes us home.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody wins at 35-28. Our world for the 35-28 or 33-30 middle. Come on. All right. Let's see. And one more before we hit the break and then open up to the full card. Got to talk about number 7, Texas, going into Ames. 7.5. Longhorns are favored. Total, what's that, 46.5? Are we getting 47s, 47.5 left? What's the What number are we grabbing for the total? Or I mean, look, if no one cares about the total, we don't need to hammer it down. Anybody got a lock for Texas Iowa
Sounds
State?
like Chip cares about the total.
Sounds like Chip cares about the total.
I did.
Are you sure you don't care about the total?
Look, I am. I was able to be there. On Sportsline. If you're a subscriber to Sportsline, then you've already seen. Yeah, I got under 47.5. But if this thing is not at 47.5 anymore, I don't want any parts of it because 27-20 sounds like the score of a Texas Iowa State game. Now, that would be a situation where Iowa State does barely cover, but I also don't want any piece of that. So, if there's no 47.5 left, I think I'll pass on my total.
There's 47s left, but no halves.
Okay.
And speaking of hooks that do exist, that's why I'm not on Texas.
Gosh,
it's 7.5 is just nah. If it was under a touchdown, I'd probably be on the Longhorns.
Do you agree with me? 27-20 sounds like a Texas Iowa State game in Ames, right?
Yeah. Although I honestly don't know if Iowa State gets 20. That's part of yeah.
That's where I'm going with this. Iowa State team total under 19.5.
Mm-hmm.
You got Iowa State offensive linemen running their mouth. Iowa State has one of the worst offensive lines in the Big 12. Texas has the best defensive line. And I think probably by a meaningful margin. The one thing that Texas shows up and does every week basically is beat the other offensive lineup. And I like the Beck kid quite a bit for Iowa State. I don't love this Texas secondary, but man, I think Texas is going to win the line of scrimmage here pretty consistently. And it's not like Iowa State is scoring a lot of points on people with a pulse. I mean, they scored 21 against Kansas, which is a bad defense, 30 against Baylor, horrendous defense. BYU is at this point just kind of they're the walking wounded, and they had 45 last weekend. I mean, 30 against Cincinnati, aided by some short fields. They have 27 on TCU. Like, when's the last decent defensive line Iowa faced? It's been a minute. There's been a lot of time for some false bravado to be built up there in Ames with that offensive line. I think we're going to get a little reminder this weekend. I mean, is Ohio the third best defensive line they faced?
When they played them early in the season, maybe.
Yeah. Like Oklahoma, I don't think their D-line is great. They beat these guys up. Texas is a lot better on the D-line than Oklahoma is. So give me Iowa State team total under.
give me Texas. Oh, I don't care about the hook. They're going to win by 10.
Let's go.
At least. As much as like Jonathan Brooks was having a phenomenal season, I don't think it's that big of a loss by position. I also think the end of last game, letting TCU hang around, get back into it, I think kind of gets them more focused later in closing out this game, kind of handling their business. And I think it's going to be a big matchup. 3-3-5-2 is very susceptible against the run. I think you see a big day for CJ Baxter filling in for Jonathan Brooks. Quinn Ewers, another week of rust knocked off. I think it'll be Texas.
Beep, 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 beep. I don't know about this subscription service, but I'm looking at our great partners from FanDuel, and I'm seeing a 47.5. I got to put my money where my mouth is. Let's go. Under 47.5. And the angle here, the way that I pitched it yesterday on Sportsline's The Early Edge College Football Special came, honestly, as a lot of my Wednesday afternoon takes do, out of great things that we learned and discussed on Wednesday morning. And among those tidbits is these two red zone offenses. So if you've got two defenses that you think are going to be able to hold their own, but more importantly, two offenses that are not cashing in red zone opportunities for 7, then all of those little -4 points on all those drives can end up adding up. Yeah, I will put my money where my mouth is and go under 47.5. All right. Coming up on the other side, we open up the entire Week 12 Saturday slate and Moneyline Sprinkles next.
We're back for an all-new season of Ink Master.
This is wild.
And 3-time Ink Master winner DJ Tamby returns as a judge.
Guaranteed there's going to be some shots fired.
I gotta watch all that.
You're gonna get it because you talk a lot, bro.
This tattoo is badass.
That is insanity.
This piece is super dynamic. You better strap in and be ready for the ride.
Victory is a work of art. Ink Master, new season, now streaming exclusively on Paramount+.
Quick recap of what we've got on the board so far, including Double Latif fights. Okay, first one is Louisville against Miami. On one side, you've got UNITY with Bud, Chip, and Tom on Louisville -1, and you've got the traitor, Danny, on Miami +1. The other one, you've got UNITY with Chip, Danny, and Tom all on the under in Washington, Oregon State, and Benedict Bud out here with the over 62. Also, Bud is on Georgia -10 and Iowa State team total under 19.5. I've also got Georgia -10, Colorado +5, Arizona -1, Texas, Iowa State under 47.5. Danny's also got Washington State -4, Kansas State -7.5, Utah, Arizona under 45, and Texas -7.5. And Tom also has Georgia team total over 34.5 and Kansas State team total over 33.5. All right, Thomas. Where would you like to go?
I'm going to go to my favorite play of the weekend. And it's not a weekend where, I don't have nearly as many locks this week as I typically do because I don't see a ton of value out there. But this is the one I really, really, truly love. Give me the over 58.5 in Florida and Missouri. Because have you seen a Florida game lately? It is just nothing but 69-point shootouts back and forth every single week. And I think Mizzou, after we saw him move the ball over Tennessee last week, will have the same kind of success against a Florida defense that's just playing Ole defense more than anything right now. And I do think Missouri's defense is a lot more susceptible than it looked last week against Tennessee. I think in this spot, they're going to give up points to the Gators, who kind of, in recent weeks have been getting better on offense, I think. So, yeah, over 58.5. It's too low. If it's anything below 60, I feel like it's stealing.
Tom, we stand on business.
Okay.
Give me Missouri. Give me Missouri.
Okay.
Lay the 10.5. I think I get 10.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Missouri's playing with a ton of confidence.
Oh wait,
right
no,
now.
it's at 11 now. Sorry,
it's at 11.
Yeah,
lay them.
Limits went up.
I ain't worried about that hook. Let's go. This is a 2-touchdown win. By the way, while Eli Drinkwitz is taking this victory lap, I don't know if you guys talked about it on the pod. The timeout to ice the kicker late, and then to get his revenge from last year's game. He's
what
on
was
a mission.
the handshake? Did you see the mic'd up handshake?
Yeah, that's why I just said we stand on business,
Yeah.
Tom. And that's exactly what he said to Heupel. We stand on business, which I'm still trying to figure out what the kids are saying these days because it's something to do with, I guess, I don't even know. If you guys could explain it to me. Urban Dictionary, anybody?
I don't know.
Stand on business.
There were a bunch of sad Bart memes on Twitter last night. I'm trying to figure out what that's all about. I'm falling way behind on this stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, 4 washed college football analysts tried to decipher what this means.
Now, what
do
the
the kids
kids
say?
mean?
In any case, I think they're playing with confidence and they're not afraid to run it up. I'm gonna take them.
Anybody else? Nope.
No, but if the chat knows what the sad Bart stuff means, it wants to tell me.
Yeah, the
I'd
Bart
appreciate
thing, I am curious about.
Like, I don't know if this is like another Pepe the Frog kind
Jordan's
of thing going
calling us
on.
Mitch
What's
Oldham.
happening?
That's fine.
Yeah,
Hey, listen.
Jordan seems to know.
Well, yeah, of course he does.
Kid.
Jordan's
Yeah.
a zoomer.
Yeah, Jordan's like 24.
All right. What else? What about Bud? You said before the show you're only sitting on 6. Are we still pacing that way?
May have 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
I think, but
Where do you want to go?
let's do some music here.
Oh, yes.
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go. I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode. All right, so Boise fired his coach. I love it. Chip, yes, sir. Oh, my gosh. Whew, viral. And I'm actually sick for this. So this is totally sicko mode sick. All right, so Boise fired his coach, and they crushed New Mexico last week, but I think that game was like all about New Mexico because they crushed New Mexico, and they didn't even look very good doing it. All year, I've kind of thought, hey, Boise's corners are not very good. You can throw on them. Utah State's going to spread you out, make you play a lot of dime and nickel and throw the ball around on you. I think Utah State at home catching 3.5 is a decent little bet. So I'm going to take Utah State. Is that sicko mode enough? If not, I have another one.
Buddy, the experience of like betting on Utah State is disgusting. You know?
Oh, it's terrible.
Just don't give up in the first half. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, don't give up
Horrendous
in the
brand of
first half.
football.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically just like, okay, first down, run for -1, second down, incomplete screen, 3rd and 11, they hit a 75-yard bomb, and then like it. But watching Utah State on the app is interesting, right? Because it's like, oh, cool, yeah, this makes total sense. If you watch it in person, you're like, I would never bet on these guys. If you watch the actual game, just watch the app. It's much more calming.
The win probability chart looks like an EKG meter, like it's just going up and down. And up and down and up.
It's ridiculous.
All right, do you have one even sicker?
I do have one that is sicker. Kind of a similar offense, similar pace type thing. One team wanting to get a little taste out of their mouth. Give me Old Dom, Georgia Southern over 60.5. Yeah. Operating at pace, not a ton of defense being played, a lot of ball chucking around. I think they'll score here.
That is sick.
That's disgusting. All right, let's clean it up here. Oh no, this is
back on track.
No, this is bad. I got to do it though. I mean, it's out there. It's right there for the taking. Okay. Is there going to be any kind of hangover or letdown after that emotional win at Penn State?
Oh.
Maybe. Not for 60 minutes, but maybe. Because we have a situation where this Maryland football team gets off to some pretty decent starts. In fact, it has been outscored in the second half in like 5 of its last 6 games. But hey, before you lose 51-15, it was only 21-7. You get off to a good start against Ohio State before you lose by a whole bunch. So when I can get the Dirty Terps at 10.5 for the first half, I think you got to take it.
I mean, I'm not taking it, but I get it. There's at some point, this Michigan team has to suffer some kind of letdown from everything that has been going on, both on the field and off the field. And then in the sandwich spot between Penn State and Ohio State, it does feel like if there's ever been a time, this would be it. But good luck to you.
Thanks.
I cannot wish you good luck because I'm going to fight this. And there are
the first half or the full game?
For the first half.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
As much as I think it's
not that one.
Fight.
I just don't like betting on Maryland in games in which they're overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage. And I think that Harbaugh or whomever will coach the team will have them prepared because last year, remember, Maryland actually gave them a bit of a game. Like it was Roman Hemby, I think, who came and played pretty well against them. Talia did a decent job. I think Michigan's going to remember that. I think they'll come out and push them around from the jump. I think JJ will throw the ball around a little bit. Go ahead and lay those 10 with Michigan first half.
Is that like that actually is a good transition out of sicko mode because it's a fight in the first half.
Yeah.
I do believe, this is a record-breaking locks episode. We've got 2 Latif fights in one show after not having any all year until a few weeks ago. And I got to think this is the first lock fight on a first half play that we've ever had.
Look, back when I came on, we weren't even allowing like team totals or, first quarter stuff. And it is Benedict Bud. Yeah. I'm going to take a nap today. I feel, yeah.
Not feeling good? Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Not great, but, it was good.
Just get out in the sun.
I need some.
Yeah.
Bud loves America's team.
I don't know. Benedict Arnold didn't really love America that much.
All right, Tom.
Let's see, where do I want to go? You know what? This is a vibes play. It's kind of scary. because this is a team that really hasn't done a whole lot to earn our trust this year, but we are putting our trust in them this weekend. Give me USC minus 6.5. Like, based on everything we've talked about with Chip Kelly this week and the reports coming out that he's pretty much a lame duck and he will be fired after this game no matter what. UCLA players have the internet too. Like, they can see this stuff. They understand what's going on. And I don't think, maybe they have a rallying kind of unifying message. Hey, let's win one for the Gipper before this game. But honestly, even if they don't, like, UCLA's defense is good. USC's offense is very good. I have seen USC have success on offense against good defenses before, and I don't trust UCLA to be able to score as much as it's going to have to keep up with the Trojans, even against that defense. So, yeah, USC minus 6.5.
Fight?
No. Under. Same game.
Okay.
Same game. I had it both written down next to each other. That's why I totally screwed up the last one, the Arizona play. But this one, I like even more. I think USC's defense, they did make some adjustments. They did a not bad job. They were giving good effort versus Oregon. I think they'll get out there. I don't think this UCLA offense is going to spark a lot of fear in them. I think they can play a little bit more straight up. And I think UCLA's defense could give Caleb Williams and company some trouble. So it's a really high number, 67?
65.5.
Yeah.
66.
Oh, is there 66?
Couple.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
a couple.
Anything over 60 in a UCLA football game.
Feels, yeah.
This is the best defense they've faced since Notre Dame, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a little better than the Irish?
Statistically, yes. But I don't know if it's better.
Yeah.
Like, do you like it better than Oregon's defense?
Yeah, from front to back.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So what do we got? Tom, you want to keep rocking and rolling?
Sure. I've got a letdown look ahead spot here.
Let's do it.
Ole Miss last week had its hopes and dreams shattered, as it so often does when it goes up against one of the SEC's elite. Its playoff hopes are dead. Its SEC title hopes are dead. And it realizes it's just not as good as the Georgias and the Alabamas of the world. And now it returns home to face little old ULM, the Warhawks. And are we sure that Ole Miss cares about this game, seeing as how on Thursday they have the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State? Is it not possible that the Rebels are licking their wounds and kind of looking ahead to that Egg Bowl game, which is now very much a must-win, because losing to a Mississippi State team under an interim coach to end the year on Thanksgiving would put a really sour taste in your mouth going into the offseason. And 37.5 points. Boys, that's a lot of points. I'm getting a 37.5-0 lead here. Give me ULM plus 37.5.
Warhawks. It's quite a.
I can see that. I mean, you know who else can see that? Give me that drill, Chip.
I had a feeling. Yeah.
All right. So 2 plays for me this week. By the way, Dentist this year, I think, is like 9-6, right?
10-6.
10-6. Look at that. Number 1. I need to make sure he doesn't have stuff in here. Okay. Yep. We're good. I was in Athens last weekend for that beating. And although I'm sure Tennessee has better defense than Ole Miss, I know what I saw. Give me UGA minus 10 at the Vols. Good luck with that one, Vols. So also number 2. My first thought when I saw Ole Miss spread this week was 37.5 is way too many points. But a quick dive into ULM, and I decided to look for a different angle. Sounds like Dart will play, but remember, Dart got whacked at the end of the Georgia game. Sounds like Dart will play, but I'm not sure how much. Some offensive line injuries for Ole Miss as well, and Franklin dismissed from the team this week. The Rebs have a short week before the Egg Bowl on Thursday, so I expect plenty of rest for starters, and I think Ole Miss would like to get this game over as soon as possible and move on as healthy as possible. So give me the under, and he took 62.5, but there's 63.5 out there right now, so that's what we will give him because we are friendly on this show.
Also, I saw on Instagram that the dentist had to do some work on the Simmons kids this week, so he's getting money everywhere he looks now.
What was that art?
It was.
Was it Lane? Like,
No, it was the dentist riding the
oh, that is the dentist.
yes.
I'd never.
Oh,
seen
okay, got it.
Yeah. I was like, that's a bad picture of Lane Kiffin. Kind of funny. But, okay.
From what I've seen, he has wonderful art in the office.
Yeah, it does. Listen, Dennis, you've decorated well.
The whole handicap here is like, so ULM kind of quietly put in the veer and shoot offense this offseason, and it hasn't gone extremely well, but they are a tempo team. How much of a tempo team do you want to be as a 38-point underdog, right? Like, if they're going to go fast the entire time, I'm sure Ole Miss will score plenty enough on them. But if they're just going to kind of run the ball a little more and just, hey, see you got a game in 4 days, cool. Yeah, we prefer not to lose by 50. That type of thing. Yeah,
the letdown look ahead, especially on short weeks. Good call right there. All right, let's go to Death Valley, where the North Carolina Tar Heels have not won a game since 2001. Mac Brown, 3-9 all time against Clemson, 0-2 against Dabo Swinney. Give me the over 58.5. I mean, I could sell you on it's a North Carolina football game, take the over. But, even specifically the idea that number one, the, Phil Maffa-led physical rushing attack looks exactly like a game plan for Clemson to be able to just, kind of move right through this North Carolina defense. And then as Danny had mentioned earlier in the week, Amarion Hampton, sneaky, one of the most productive running backs in the entire country. And so I think that the versatility that he's able to add to this North Carolina offense is why they are going to be able to do their part, even against a Clemson defense that has been outstanding and continues to get, we had seen Peter Woods and TJ Parker show up all throughout the season, all the way back to the Florida State game. But now we're starting to get even more freshmen showing up with interceptions and pick sixes. The youth movement in Clemson, I agree, Dabo. I'm buying stock based on the way that some of these young players are playing later in the year. I still think that Drake May, Amarion Hampton, and the North Carolina offense are going to be able to do the work that they need to do to get us over this total. So I'll go over 58.5.
Like it.
I'm just not betting on North Carolina games anymore.
Just period?
Just not this year. Yeah, maybe next year we'll see, but this year we're out.
Well, I mean, then I'd be asking you to bet on a Gene Chizik coach football team.
There's no way they're going to do that, right?
I think it is step one that I am considering seriously, not step two in that process.
Okay.
Step
one being they don't fire Gene Chizik after this year, or step
one being that if Mac Brown beats Duke State back to back, I could see him walking it off. Go into the postseason, give your shot a chance to win 10 games, but you can say that you left North Carolina football in a better place than when you found it, where you picked it up from Larry Fedora. Now, what would happen after that? I don't know. I don't think that Mac's decision relies on whether or not they beat NC State at the end of the year, but I could just, shout out to my guys, Joe Giglio and Joe Ovius. They called back up. You go back and you look at that ACC Network interview after the win. That's that super, super emotional kind of approach. We'll
Drake
see.
May's gone.
I mean, if that job opens,
that was the other thing that my buddies pointed out is it's the OG podcast. Got to give them a shout out because I know they listen to this podcast as well. But do you want to totally rebuild because you don't have enough? You're going to have to go into the portal. Tad Hudson ain't it,
right?
It's what
you had Sam Howell and Drake May. Or do you want to go through another cycle of trying to build this thing up and be able to try to keep the offense explosive the way that it's been throughout this second Mac Brown era?
Tad Hudson is the most fourth place in the Masters on Saturday name on earth.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
More like first day. Who's that guy? There's always some rando up there.
That's a really good question. One of the other problems is like, what quarterbacks are going to be on the market this offseason? There's not a ton that are just no doubt home runs. And because of the potential lack of supply, they're going to cost a lot, right? Like does UNC play in that level of NIL game where they're buying kids out of the portal? Like, I know that obviously like they had to give Drake something to keep him, with who was sniffing around there, but like, do they have the NIL to go out and get a stud to keep this thing rolling? I don't know.
It would be I tell you, it would be it's fascinating couple weeks in Chapel Hill. I got no good read on it right now. It's just vibes. All right, I've got one left.
I also have one left. You go first, sir.
Okay. The Breaking Bad Jesse meme. He can't keep getting away with this. Is the Memphis Tigers football team.
Oh.
What the hell, man? Hey, and for those of you who have not been keeping tabs on Memphis, which is right there in the middle of this American Athletic Conference race. This is the way that it's gone recently. 45-42 against North Texas, with North Texas blowing a lead late in the fourth quarter. 59-50 against South Florida at home. 44-38 at Charlotte. You can't keep getting away with this. SMU's a good football team. Give me the Mustangs minus 8.5.
Get you 8.
All right.
See, this is exactly the game Memphis wins, though.
Look, they can't keep doing this.
But they do. That's the problem.
They have not looked good. Their defense, and this is a situation where, the fact that if their defense being poor, which it has been in all these games recently, if they were playing Tulane, I might not feel the same. But they're not. They're playing SMU. Pony up.
All right. I kind of just want to fight you for fun, but I'm not. I am going to take Chip. I was looking at the weather reports, and looks like it's going to be windy in Laramie. Give me the under 46.
Windy in Laramie.
Give me the under 46 in Hawaii and Wyoming, because it is going to be windy in Laramie. Not, a light wind for Laramie.
It's like 12, right? It's like 12 to 15. Mm-hmm. It counts as a wonder, but then by Laramie standards, you grade it on a scale. Yeah,
mm-hmm. It's a light jacket kind of day in Laramie.
All right,
I got one.
All right.
We saw a game last week, probably the most inexplicable game of the season that we've seen. There were 2 last week. I happen to be backing both sides that were on the inexplicable side. Oklahoma State gets run by UCF, run out of town, sent packing. Now they have to go to Houston to take on the Cougs. They're a 6.5-point favorite. Lay them. I think it's a big bounce back game. It doesn't mean I'm all in on Oklahoma State, but they still got a chance. They got to get Ollie Gordon some stats. I think they'll get him more than 12 carries for 25 yards. Houston, quit alert. If they can get up early, I think Houston hangs it up. I think they win by 2 touchdowns at least. And if they have a chance to run it up, they will. So give me Oklahoma State.
Lock agreement.
Ooh.
Guys, Cincinnati pushed Houston around. You don't think Oklahoma State can do that?
They better.
Come on.
That sounded like a threat. They better. Seriously.
Tom, I have a question for you.
Sure.
We heard the legend of John Paddock maybe sidelined. You said don't fall for it. Brett Bielema never. I'm looking again at Adam Rittenberg. ESPN has a piece up that says Luke Altmaier back and starting for Illinois.
Yeah.
There's
also a tweet yesterday from Big Ten Network. It was like the highlights of John Paddock's game, and Brett retweeted it with the stories just getting started. So, and this is John Paddock's final year of eligibility. So
give me the over. Let's go. Give me the over. First of all, Iowa offensive fireworks in the second half last week. 22 points and this just explosion there. John Paddock is a walking just like an offensive juggernaut just all by himself, running out there making plays. If Luke Altmaier goes start to finish, I am extremely worried about this one unless there's some pick sixes. Cooper DeJean out. What does that mean? It means there might be a little more susceptible in that back end. Give me the over 30.5. And I
mean, Illinois' offense, the last month has been a lot better. Like, it's by far the best offense in the Big Ten West. Even before Altmaier got out.
A factual statement that might need qualifiers, but yes.
Can we discuss the use of the word best? Like, should anybody be allowed to call himself best, or should we have to refer to them as like the least worst?
48 points, 500 yards last week passing. That's all I'm going to say. When was the last Big Ten West team to do that to anybody?
A factual statement.
You'll see when Illinois drops 30 on Iowa tomorrow.
Take last one, but I'm not. I wish there was a prop that you could say Rutgers would run it more than 30 times in a row just to try to outdo Michigan what they did. Because I could see Greg Schiano saying, "Oh yeah, you guys think that was impressive? I'm going to run it 31 times in a row."
I mean, that is
touch anything from that game, but I wish there was a prop because I think there's a chance it happens.
That is also probably the smart move on their part, as far as because I've seen them try to throw it. I think I'd run the ball every play.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. What if Greg actually was like, "It's not a big deal. We did that. Go check the tape."
What? A couple what number games? What number would you need to bet either Arkansas or FIU? FIU center, by the way, just got hit for performance-enhancing drugs, or banned substances. So
he needs to get better stuff. Yeah, I was very.
You got a hookup down there, a little wellness clinic for the FIU center, man. All right.
I was very much looking at that game and considering going against Arkansas because I feel like when Sam's just out there saying we just need, we don't get the same kind of NIL money that the rest of the SEC does. It's I feel like that man knows what's coming and he's just kind of draping the crepe for it all.
I know that I am not surprised that FIU might have been, dabbling with the juice because when Danny sends us videos of his family members working out with the college football team and they're not in college, and I can't tell the difference between Danny's family members and the college football team, the boys need to get big. Danny's got good genes, all right? We already know, it is Will Middlebrook season.
That's right. My man, Ben Middlebrook.
Ben Middlebrook, sorry. Yeah. Will's our colleague at CBS Sports. Apologies, Ben. Yeah, apologies. All right. Let's review the action that we've got before we hit a break and get to money line sprinkles. So far on the board, Bud has Louisville. We are on Louisville +1, Georgia -10, Washington, Oregon State over 62, Iowa State team total under 19.5, Utah State +3.5, Old Dominion, Georgia Southern over 60.5, Michigan first half -10, Oklahoma State -6.5. I've got Louisville +1, Georgia -10, Washington, Oregon State under 63.5, Colorado +5, Arizona -1, Texas, Iowa State under 47.5, Maryland first half +10.5, UNC Clemson over 59, SMU -8. Danny is on. Miami +1, Washington State -4. The Washington, Oregon State under 63.5, Kansas State -7.5, Utah, Arizona under 45, Texas -7.5, Missouri -11, Oklahoma State -6.5, UCLA, USC under 66, Iowa, Illinois over 30.5, and Tom is on. Louisville +1, Georgia team total over 34.5, Washington, Oregon State under 63.5, Kansas State team total over 33.5, Florida, Missouri over 58.5, USC -6.5, ULM +37.5, Hawaii, Wyoming under 46. 2 Latif fights. That would be Tom, Chip, and Bud on Louisville, while Danny's on Miami, and Chip, Danny, Tom on the under in Washington, Oregon State, while Bud is on the over. Lock fight on the first half spread In Michigan, Maryland, that would be Bud on Michigan, Chip on Maryland. Lock agreements are Georgia -10 and Oklahoma State -6.5.
So many fights. What is this? A session of Congress? Hey, topical political humor.
You stand up. Yeah. Coming up on the other side, we get into our money line sprinkles. Next.
It's never too soon for college basketball. Don't miss the Greenlight Sunshine Slam on CBS Sports Network.
I mean, speaking of like PEDs, like Congress doesn't test, right?
Why?
I would say like that dude stood up like he wanted to flex.
Yes. It's just like Draymond the other night.
We're all on the same page on that. Okay.
Yes.
When Draymond choked Rudy Gobert the other night, that was just because Draymond wanted to choke Rudy Gobert and saw an opportunity to finally do it.
You know he's on the Clippers.
Nope.
No, he's not.
Nope.
All right. Before we get into Moneyline Sprinkles, let's tell you about the latest show from our friends at Sportsline. Sportsline's newest show, Inside the Lines, takes you behind the scenes with the brains behind the Sportsline simulation, showing you line movement throughout the week, injuries that will impact matchups, and early value plays using the model's projections. Get ahead of the lines and the public every weekday at 1 p.m. with data and analysis you cannot find anywhere else. And this Moneyline Sprinkles segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. All right, Moneyline Sprinkles. Last week, we had somebody won. Chip cashed with Syracuse. Bud cashed with Southern Miss and New Mexico State. And I think those are all of our winners. Yeah.
Yes.
Danny, you are still the Sprinkle King. 19 and 23 on your Moneyline Sprinkles, up 9.6 units. What are we going to be looking at this week?
Just 2 plays this week. UCF coming off that huge win versus Oklahoma State at home, ran all over them. I will take them on the road to upset Texas Tech. I think that was a big confidence booster for UCF. See if they can do it in Lubbock. And then last one, Northwestern, home underdog versus Purdue. Purdue is 3-7. Northwestern just named David Braun head coach, and they got 2 games to get 1 win to get Old Bowl eligible. I think it'll be this weekend. Give me Northwestern.
Well, I don't think that they'll get the second win, but I agree with you on the first. David Braun bump. Northwestern, Ryan Field, getting it done. I like the Wildcats as one of my sprinkles. Also, Thursday night, just give me Boston College. I think they are the better football team. Plus value. Let's add that to the card. Friday night, I'll go ahead and take Colorado on the field as well. Give me that plus 168 or so. Just Washington State's been in a little bit of free fall. I'll be curious to see if the Buffs can get it done. And finally, let's see. Okay. Tar Heels. Kind of wouldn't it be hilarious? But Tar Heels haven't won in Death Valley since 2001.
Why not now?
Why not now? Why not us? Why not a little late season dream memory ride? Tar Heels. All right.
I like it. Yeah.
What about, so I guess that gets us to Tom, sprinkles.
I've got 8 locks this week, but I've got 6 sprinkles because I don't really love a lot of the spreads, but I see some chances for some, upsets. We'll start with East Carolina plus 125 against Navy. It's Battle of Boats. Southern Miss plus 430 against Mississippi State. Just fired your coach. Got the Egg Bowl coming up. Maybe there's not so much buy-in in that locker room right now. Talked about it on Big Game Breakdown. It's a coin flip, and if I can get plus value on a coin flip, I'll take it. Washington plus 120. Huge game in the Mountain West. UNLV plus 140. Bud, you're taking the 3.5 points in this one. I'll just take Utah State at home as the dog plus 155. And finally, my last money line sprinkle. Illinois 50, Iowa 2. Illinois plus 140. I got to cherish this one because thanks to the wonderful folks in the Big Ten offices who have made tremendous decisions for this conference over the last few years. This is, the next 5 years, Illinois will play Iowa twice, while it plays Oregon 3 times and Rutgers 3 times. So I have to go out with a win here. We got to send the Hawkeyes home. Sad. So Illinois by 48.
All right, Bud.
I'm on BC with Chip.
Yeah.
I'm on Tom with Illinois. Somebody forgot to tell UCLA staff that they were fired. I mean, we've seen UCLA go up against two, really one really good D-line, and Oregon's is okay. It didn't really go that great for them. I think UCLA is going to play hard here. Garber's been practicing. I like UCLA to beat USC. I mean, if this is Chip's last game, he's going to be in his bag.
Yeah.
He's got a full game of film on these adjustments that USC made, which I think are just simplify like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bruins here.
Man, UCLA screwed up. Chip's going to win this game. Then what are you going to do?
Hell, and they're going to win the bowl game against I don't know.
Well, he hates non-conference games.
Yeah,
remember,
so we'll lose that.
Like Chip Kelly hates non-conference games so bad they backed out of the Holiday Bowl. And he said, "We don't want it."
Do it. Do the little the Wolfpack hands.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah. There we go.
Thought about adding NC State on the money line too against Virginia Tech, but that felt a little gratuitous just to go, throw Tar Heels and the Wolfpack on there. I'm trying to think, is there
no Wake?
Wake's down so bad.
Yeah.
Dave Clawson apologizing for the performance.
Bench Griffiths, right?
Now it's Kearns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to nobody wants to play on JMU App State. Or any thoughts?
Kicked off Kirks and Nettie this morning. You got two choices what you can do. Play on chip on your shoulder or go cry about it. He said, you know what we're gonna do?
We're gonna cry. No, I'm just kidding.
Why don't we just sponsor a bowl?
Sure.
Let's put JMU and Colorado in a bowl.
Yeah.
Cover 3 bowl?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll do it.
CBS.
What about, I'm trying to look, just make sure nobody wants any piece of trying to see whether or not Ohio State will cover 27.5 against Minnesota.
They will probably. I'm not betting it.
Minnesota plays super slow. What's the incentive for Ohio State to drop back and keep chucking it around a whole lot?
I am not interested in being invested in that football game.
No.
Yeah,
because they might get the bump from Harbaugh either there or not there. They're more ticked off, but are they hung? They have a little hangover effect too. That's a weird game.
Oregon, Arizona State, 23.5.
I mean, these are like the games where when they force us to pick them on the expert picks because the teams are ranked. I just say, okay, if it's under 24, I'll take Oregon. If it was 24.5, I would take, or Arizona State.
Oh, I took Oregon on the expert picks because Arizona State just beat UCLA. They're really going to come out here and pull it off 2 weeks in a row.
They're confident, feeling good.
I think Oregon is probably the right side. I mean, clearly, like Arizona State they try really hard. They haven't quit on Dillingham. They're bought in, but it's hard to see Oregon not scoring 6 touchdowns, right? Yeah. And then how many field goals is it? I guess maybe it's possible, but they generally score a lot. Dillingham and Lanning are pretty friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So 23.5. Now it's 24 juice at some places. I don't know that I want to lay 24 juice.
They grew up watching SpongeBob together. They're
now we're getting the coaches who get the memes better than we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really
Dan, if you're watching, can you tell us what this sad Bart thing is all about? Because
actually, Coach, I know you do watch the show. I know you're a big fan. Come fill us in. 2 more that I saw the Cover 3 tailgate talking about. Baylor TCU. TCU a 13-point favorite at home against the Bears.
I want to take TCU just based on Baylor vibes, but I also don't really trust TCU enough.
I was going to say Baylor money line or bust. Just if it's going to be chaos, then I don't trust TCU to be able to close out a close win, right? What is it? alt line, money line. Was that an old one we used to say? Either TCU blows them out or they lose outright.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is where's this? The Nebraska-Wisconsin game.
Why?
I just saying that we've got a huge audience that's watching us with us live at youtube.com/cover3 and the Cover 3 tailgate. It's a game of request. What's the thought on Nebraska-Wisconsin?
Can Nebraska hold on to the football for more than 3 plays in a row? And also, can Wisconsin move the football for more than 3 plays in a row? Well, let's find out on Saturday.
On a
Did you
national stage.
Mm-hmm. It's not a great weekend for games.
They're big prime time, like leading into SNL show. Before Jason Momoa gets out there, it's gonna be Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Dude, NBC has had a hard run of it recently because like all of their NFL game, not all, many of their NFL games have been like some combination of the Jets plus another coach that's about to get fired, and it's. I don't know. Do they do a draft for those preseason? I have no idea how NFL scheduling works, but like I don't watch like daytime
Sunday
NFL.
night.
Yeah, they flex
Sunday
late.
night has some flex.
Mm-hmm.
But they left the Jets in there. Like maybe it's
Because
just such
they're
a
the
national
Jets.
brand, and I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
but
it's the same reason the Bears are always on Sunday and Monday night, even though they've been good like once in the last 20 years.
Did you see the big announcement from the Big 12 during our show?
No.
They have partnered with the WWE for the Big 12 championship game. The Big 12 introduced a custom-made title belt for this year's most outstanding player, co-branded logo in venue and on field, and other championship integrations featuring WWE superstars. I want to see Brett Yormark. Like Texas wins it. They're going to the SEC though, so he hands him the belt and he strips it away from him and like runs out of it, like holding it, won't let him take it with him to the SEC. We have to have that happen.
Oh no, it's because Colorado plays. Well, because Colorado won't be there in any conference championship weekend, there's like a sound effect, right?
Sure.
And so all of a sudden, you get that.
Do you believe?
And Dion comes out on his motorized scooter and he snatches the Big 12 title belt and drives away with it. Future Big 12 member Colorado, just getting out to set the stage for the narrative of season 3.
All right, ranking the Big 12 coaches in order of likelihood that they watch wrestling. Gundy 1, yes. Who's 2? Like I can see Matt Campbell being like an added. Campbell's about our age, right? Like he probably watched it.
Aranda's last.
Yes.
Rand isn't too enlightened for WWE. Yeah. Holgerson is probably 2 or 3 actually.
Yeah, he's up there.
Joey McGuire strikes me as a wrestling guy.
Yeah,
he could be a wrestling guy. Actually, Leopold could definitely be a wrestling guy. Like dude from Wisconsin.
Too old.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He hasn't watched since 1983.
I think Malzahn, no.
No.
I think Kleiman, yes.
I could see Kleiman, yes. What about Dykes?
Yeah, I
maybe.
can see him having it for some fun.
Dykes would like to go. Like if the show's in town and somebody offers him tickets, he'll go. I don't think he's tuning in Monday, Thursday, Friday night and ordering PPVs.
Neil Brown is 43. I think Neil Brown is a yes.
Do you guys watch wrestling?
Not now.
Not anymore.
I never really got into it.
Yeah, good.
Like in high school.
Yeah, in high school.
He's from Louisville, Kentucky. Like if you're 43 from Louisville, Kentucky, I think it's
probably watch because that means the Attitude Era hit you at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody we haven't hit yet? Oh, Satterfield.
No.
Maybe.
No.
I think it's a no too.
No.
The chat's mad that we're getting paid to talk about this. You want me to talk about the Florida State game? Yeah, if you're in a pick 'em pool and the number is 40 on the FSU game, lay it. FCS lines aren't really out right now from what I've seen, but like North Alabama is not a good FCS team.
All right.
That's all about it.
Apparently, we're not allowed to guess which Big 12 coaches would watch WWE.
Oh, no, he's just envious of us that we get paid to do this for our job. Does Sark watch?
I saw somebody in the tailgate say that Sark used to. They're like, maybe he even has that same kind of reference of like, oh, yeah, I was, a big, I don't know whether he would be more Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker. I don't know. He's not Mankind or Dude Love or any of the other Mick Foley personas.
Does Venables watch?
Yes.
Still-
That's where he
still
gets all his
watching.
defensive lineman technique from.
Okay. All right,
Like we have a Peacock subscription, so I will watch WrestleMania, but I don't understand how people could like watch this all the time. And like there are like 5 different wrestling things now, and I see people tweeting about all of them all the time, and it's like, bro, come on.
My wife and Ole Miss fans can't believe that I get paid to talk about college football for a living. So like, I guess different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah, let's go. I'm not going to yuck your yum. Come on, let's go.
No, I'm not. I'm doing it. It's just it confounds me like how much wrestling some people watch. It's weird.
Jordan also watches.
Still,
Yeah. Well, Jordan is Jordan, so you know.
Oh, Seth Luttrell.
He's a Tennessee guy. What'd you expect?
That's a good call out.
It's
Seth
still Jordan thinks it's real. That's the problem.
Still real to me, damn it.
all right. We will be back with you Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time to recap all the action from week 12. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernell. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.